you can see all those details on my website as well. But for today, we're going to put a link in the chat soon for today's raffle.
Okay. Awesome. Okay, so should I go ahead and introduce you, read your bio?
Yes, please.
Okie dokie. All righty. So Parvati Kumar was born and raised in Eastern Canada and initiated as a teen in the manual film photography by her mother. Parvati was then largely self-taught, following her photo passion for over 3 decades. Alongside earning 2 technical degrees and working in software development in IT corporations for 10 years, she constantly maintained her joy of documenting and creating photographically. She exhibits her work throughout New Jersey, other states, and Europe in solo and group shows, and has earned awards and recognition, and shares her experience and skills through workshops and presentations. She is also a certified yoga teacher and advanced classical guitarist. Her areas of expertise are notebook design, fine art photography, commercial photography, and art documentary photography. So welcome, Parvati.
Thank you, and welcome to everyone who's here. It's really beautiful to see everyone. Really overwhelming, actually. So I thought we would start with, we could have all the women who are from the book attending. Many of them, almost most of them are here. We could have each woman introduce themselves. And then I thought I will do a quick viewing of the book. I'll view the whole book. I'm not sure if everyone's had a chance to see it, but we'll go through the pages quickly. I won't be reading everything in there, but just so that everyone can see the book. So I'll start. I see Whitney. Whitney is here. Whitney is the cover girl, gracing the cover of the book. Whitney Smith. Do you want to do a quick intro?
Hi everyone. I'll do a quick intro. Congratulations, Kumar, on this wonderful book that you together. My name is Whitney Smith. I'm an ordained minister. I'm associate minister at the Greater Centennial Amy Zion Church. I am an author of 3 books, Wits Notes, Authentic You, and Don't Drop Out on You. I'm an educator, 8th grade ELA teacher. I'm also a CEO of Pivoting into Purpose, which is an event company, and coaching, life coaching 101. And that's a little bit about me. And I'm a mom. That's important. I'm a mom of a 19-year-old college student. So that's important. That's
right.
Oh my.
Annette, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hi, Annette. Do you mind doing a quick intro of yourself?
Sure. Let's see. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Good. Okay. My name is Annette Scott. I'm with the League of Women Voters of Southern Monmouth County. I'm also a registered nurse, happily retired. But with the, what's wrong? Okay. What I do is work with the reentry program, which is for citizens who have been incarcerated. And when they are released, they help them with employment, health insurance, housing, anything they may need. I'm also with the New Jersey State Parole Board, which now, since the law passed March 17th of 2020, in New Jersey, anyone on parole or probation can now register to vote. And I also help register to vote those who have been incarcerated. And what happens is most people in New Jersey, when I do registration events, they'll tell me that I can't vote in New Jersey. I can never vote again. I know why they're saying it, but I ask them and they tell me that because they committed a felony, and I explained to them, it's not what you did, it's your status. The only ones who currently cannot vote in New Jersey now is those who are incarcerated. They tried to get the legislature and pass it, but it just didn't have the support. And what I have been doing is collecting donations along with another league member, Eileen Michaels. We collected over 2 truckfuls of donations, mostly for females, feminine products, toiletries, clothes, and yes, we did collect quite a bit for the men too. In fact, I was supposed to be on CBS this past Wednesday at 6:30 on a Nora O'Donnell show, and they filmed us collecting all the collections. So now I got another note from the producer that I may be on, Eileen and we may be on next Saturday at 6:30 on CBS or next Sunday at 6 p.m. I'll let you know so you can get a look, and if you want my autograph, because you're so wonderful, it's free.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Annette.
you.
Tamiko, do you want to do?
Hi.
intro?
Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. Hi, Poverty. It's wonderful to see everyone's faces. Really excited to be part of, such a wonderful book project. And so thank you for that. My name is Tamiko Hubbard, and I'm the executive director of Sweet Reads, a children's literacy nonprofit based in New Jersey. I'm originally from New York, and I'm a former practicing attorney, worked in civil rights, and currently also work at Raritan Valley Community College, helping to make bridges between employers and students. Through Sweet Reads, we work with other community organizations, schools. Really, our goal is to get books in the hands of children in any way that we can. So we also partner with corporations and other community partners to make that, happen. And so good afternoon again. Good to see everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And following along the lines of literacy work, Barbara? I think you're on mute, Barbara.
My name is Barbara Fleith, and I'm an advanced senior citizen. I'm a justice advocate and a community activist, and I really care about children and the world and how families thrive. And I have many chapters to my life, by the way, and my most recent one is I have a whole resume that says all the things I belong to and all the things I am, but basically in my heart and in my core, I like to give back. I care about justice. The person who just talked about formerly incarcerated people, I'm also with the campaign to end the new Jim Crow, and we educate people about mass incarceration based on Michelle Alexander's book, The New Jim Crow. And for the educational part of this, I'm a member of the Trenton Literacy Movement, and we work with low achieving second graders in the Trenton Public Schools in programs to advance their reading and writing skills. And then a new group I'm with is called People and Stories. It's very exciting because what we do is find classic stories in reading and readings, and develop groups that are marginalized groups, including youth detention centers, senior citizens, and bring good literature to them and for them to read and understand. And of all the things I've done, this is the one that gives me so much excitement because I've watched people grow and thrive just reading and learning about themselves. And finally, as I head into the last chapter of my life, I'm in the process of selling a condo and moving with 2 adult children, and and I've been living as a widow since '96. So we are becoming a family again. So this is a wonderful way for me to go to the next level. And I'm very excited about being a part of this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Crystal? Crystal, are you able, do you hear? Okay.
Hello, everyone. I'm Crystal Ramsey, and I am currently a social work major at Brookdale Community College. I'm also in recovery. I will be celebrating 28 years clean April 19th. I'm a missionary at my church, which is Allen Chapel AME Church, under the leadership of Edwin H. Lloyd, and I'm also a part of the American Legion Women's Auxiliary. And I encourage people who are struggling with drugs that they can get clean and stay clean. They can get clean and stay clean. And I'm happy to be a part of this book. I'm also currently in the process of writing my own because I have a story to tell. Congratulations.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Crystal. Pam Johnson?
Thank you, Parvati. I am so honored to be here today. And when I first got the call from Parvati, I actually didn't think of myself as being included in this book. And I gave her names of some of these wonderful women who are here today, and just very honored. I am a mother of 3, 2 approaching adulthood, but I also am committed to helping women get into business for themselves. I'm an independent insurance agent. I do life and health insurance, and I specialize in solutions for seniors, Medicare, long-term care, and insurance. And so I'm just so happy, honored to be here, and want to thank you, Parvati, for such a beautiful production and the opportunity to be part of. Oh, I don't know, was I completely muted, or did you hear that? You heard it? Okay.
Parvati, you're mute.
Sorry. Susan Hairston, are you?
Hello, everyone. Hello, Parvati. Happy Women's History Month to everyone. And yes, I want to echo what the previous speakers have said. Thank you, Parvati, for this honor, for this privilege. And I just want to thank the other women who are in the book and on this call to learn about your backgrounds, and just to be a part of this beautiful artistic plea to the world to look at Black women in their many faceted ways as something wonderful and exceptional. Is just a wonderful thing to have happened with the climate that we're in now, where there's so much division and there's so much misunderstanding. So I'm Susan Hairston. I'm a councilwoman in Summit, New Jersey. And I have I was just reelected in 2020 after just serving a one term. So the 1 year term was in the year of COVID. So just a tumultuous time to serve in that role. And then to have to go through an election during the time of Trump and the assault on women of color. I felt it in my own community, but I won. And from all different sectors of the community, the support and embracing that I received was wonderful. But I did see a mean-spiritedness that is awful. And so that is why I am grateful to Parvati for lifting us up, Black women, and for us to be unapologetic about our amazingness. And we know that it goes back to our ancestors, our mothers, our aunties, and it also goes forward with our daughters. And we have to be encouraging. And my other role in life, in addition to be a council person, I am an entrepreneur. I have a business that my management consulting firm focuses on strengthening nonprofits and funders that serve marginalized communities. And this business also started in 2020. And I know that with the economic pandemic and the COVID pandemic, this is what my life's work has been leading towards, to bring excellence to marginalized communities. And so with, I hope with Parvati's putting a spotlight, I will have lots of business come through as a result of this, but I'm much more interested in the spirit in which she has brought this beautiful piece of art together. And I just want to thank everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Susan. Janie?
Hi, Parvati. How are you?
I'm good. Good to see you.
Well, you know how excited I am about this book. Every time I see it, it brings me to tears. When you first told me about it, I knew it was going to be a really good project. But when I saw it manifest, I said, not only is it good, but it's great and it's beautiful. So I really want to take this time out to let you know how much I appreciate all the hard work just lifting up women of color. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
A little about me. I'm a mom. I'm a wife. I have a son. His name is Garrett. He just turned 13 in January, and he was the inspiration for my book series, which is called the Prince Garrett series. It's named after him. It's about a prince who teaches possibility and just really enjoys his life with his young dog Zeus. But Garrett was the inspiration for the book because at the time I was working in corporate America and I wanted to send him to a really good school, and I did. And he came home and I discovered that he did not like the skin he was in. And as a mom of color who appreciates our culture, that broke my heart. And I really didn't know what to do about it. So I started telling him stories about a young prince who could do anything he wanted. And the world was his oyster if he just explored it. And that lit his face up. And I said to myself, aha, I have something here. And so I would tell him these stories. And long story short, someone encouraged me to make them into books. And I said, that's not what I do. I'm not a writer. And they said, you need to do this. And 12 books later, the Prince Garrett series has 12 books in it. And I continue to get inspired by him and other children every day. And my initial thought was to just bless him with the books, but now I get to bless all children, because I think in order to tear down these layers of bias, I think all children need to know the contributions that all people make. In addition to being an author, I am a job coach for young people and people in general with disabilities. And I kind of stumbled into it, but my HR background, being in HR for, I don't know, I should cough and go, 20 years. I said, this is a perfect fit because not only can I help the individuals with disabilities, but I speak the language of corporations because I've been in HR for a long time. And so I'm excited about doing that and just really continuing the work. And so with that, I'm really complete. And thank you again for all the work you do.
Thank you. Alexandra, I saw you here somewhere.
I'm here. Hello.
There you are.
Thank you so much for having me. Hello, everyone. My name is Alexandra May. I'm a registered nurse, currently working in the cardiac catheterization lab. So basically my role is for when patients come in with a heart attack or any blockages in their arteries, we work together as a team to open up those arteries and hopefully bring them back to life. When I'm not working as a nurse, I also have a platform called Hey Amazing, HeyAmayezing, where I really advocate for the self-care of nurses and healthcare professionals. I found that when I was in nursing school, when I was completing my clinicals in nursing school, I was really focused on just finishing my classes, doing the clinicals, rushing home, going back to class, and really forgot to put myself first. So in that, I realized that it's important that we exhibit self-care because we cannot pour from an empty cup. And working with patients with so many different diagnoses, illnesses, and trying to get someone well, we have to be well ourselves. So my platform, basically, I advocate for the self-care of nurses and healthcare professionals, and also do motivational speeches for different high schoolers in the area, college students, some graduations, just so everybody remembers that self-care is not selfish and we should be able to take care of ourselves and not feel guilty about it. I really enjoy being a nurse. I will be graduating from Drexel University this June with my master's in leadership systems and health systems management. My end goal is to become a chief nursing officer within a hospital and basically run a hospital and ensure that all the patients and all the nurses are well cared for so we have a better healthcare organization in general and healthcare for the country. So thank you so much for having me. It's so beautiful doing this book and working with you all. And I loved each page and learning about each person's stories, backgrounds, and the quotes were each touching.
Thank you. Thank you. Christine Smith, I see you.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. It's so good to see you. Hey, Susan, I'm humbled to be here. First, I just want to congratulate you again, Prabhati, for this amazing work of art that you put together. And then I would be remiss if I didn't thank Pam Johnson for recommending me. And there are several faces and people that I know that are a part of this awesome work of art that you have created. And I'm so excited for you and thankful that you decided to highlight us women of color, Black women, everyday Blackness. My name is Christine Smith. I am the CEO and co-founder of Inspira Performing Arts and Cultural Center. It's a dance and music center in New Brunswick, which is our flagship location. And last year we opened up a second location in Newark in the Teachers Village area in the Central Ward of Newark. Inspira is celebrating her 19th season this year. And our goal, ladies and gentlemen, is to change the world one child at a time and use the performing arts to do so. Inspira is a home away from home for so many of our kids. And even in the midst of us going through this global pandemic, we have continued to do so. And I always encourage people to know their why of why they want to do something. 28 years ago, I had pituitary brain surgery, and I asked God if He allowed me to live, I would go forth and make a difference in the lives of the people that I touch. Hence, that's why Inspira started. In addition to that, after hearing some of the amazing people and reading about them, I am a new podcaster. I started a podcast last year called Got Inspiration. So I'm going to be looking for guests because you all have stories to tell. And then the other professional thing, I authored a children's coloring book called Let's Dance, an inspirational coloring book for children or for kids that love to dance. And you can find that on Amazon. I'm a wonderful wife of almost 25 years this July, and I'm a mother of twin daughters that are 21 years old. So I'm blessed to be here. I was a caregiver to my mom who passed away last year with COVID. And I'm blessed to have my 97-year-old dad here living with me. So I'm grateful to be here, grateful to make an impact. And thank you for having me and choosing me to be a part of this amazing work of art.
Thank you, Christine. Beautiful. Karen? Karen Dilk, there you are.
Well, yes, thank you, Parvati. This is such an amazing afternoon, and I have to thank you for the artfulness of the book. I congratulate the other women who are included, and I look forward to staying connected with you. I thank Pam Johnson, who called me and asked me if I would be willing to participate. And of course, Barbara Fleith, who I look up to for all of her work in social justice. Just to tell you a little bit about me, I, in the last 10 years, have run my own executive coaching and management consulting firm, Davis Delk Consulting. And I focus working with ambitious professionals who want to take their career to the next level. And it's been a privilege to do that. I've met many people in the last 10 years and learned more about their stories and their professional journeys and help them reach the goals that they seek for themselves. And that's really a privilege and an honor. In addition to that, I am currently the YWCA Princeton Board Chair, which I am going into my 8th month of that. It's been quite an experience to help that nonprofit, particularly as it was coming out of the pandemic. And we are turning the corner for sure. I also on the Paul Robeson House of Princeton. Paul Robeson, as you know, is a native son of Princeton. He was one of the original Renaissance man. Everything he touched, he achieved with gold in terms of athletics, academics. He was, as I used to say, the Beyonce of his time, traveling worldwide and putting a spotlight on social justice. Wait, are we still on this? And a mother of 3 young adult children who I'm most proud of. They're probably the greatest gift in my life. And it's just been a wonderful opportunity to see this. And so I'm very excited to be a part of it. And I say congratulations to all of you.
Thank you, Karen. And I think you forgot to mention about New Beginnings.
My list was long. Yes, thank you. So one of the reasons I was in the book actually is because about 7 years ago, I started a cable TV show with Princeton Cable TV called New Beginnings with Karen Delk. And the thought behind that show was that no matter what happens in life, we always have new beginnings. And so I have been fascinated as people have transitioned from corporate to running their own either for-profit, nonprofit, helping in their communities. And so what New Beginnings does, it features individuals who are making changes in their community through the arts, education, business, health, and wellness. And so, like someone said, I'm looking for guests also. So I'll be reaching out to many of you because I know you have such inspiring stories. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Brenda Smith, she has to drop off soon, so I think I saw her somewhere.
I'm here.
Oh, there you are. Okay.
I want to thank you so very much for the wonderful opportunity that you have afforded me. First and foremost, and all of these individuals, I am so happy that Ms. Delk, before I introduce myself very quickly, I must say that I'm very happy that you, Ms. Delk, mentioned Paul Robeson. I don't know if Whitney told you that she's the great grandniece of Paul Robeson. And
that's my mom.
Yes, but I am, again, I'm Brenda Smith, and as a former educator, certainly a teacher, principal, and of course, a former superintendent of the Mount Vernon Public Schools. My greatest joy, first and foremost, is my daughter, who is doing a marvelous work. She has gifts with which she uses. I really didn't know she had all of this talent. I'm going to tell you the truth, but I am very proud of her, although they feel that I'm very hard sometimes, but I'm very proud of Whitney. Let me say this, as a teacher, as a former teacher, administrator, and school superintendent, I am so proud of the individuals who crossed my path and who helped me actually see the gifts that they have. The former mayor, the mayor actually of the Mount Vernon city of Mount Vernon is one of my former students, Mayor Sean Howard, Patterson Howard, and she's doing a marvelous work. Also, the former chancellor of DC Public Schools, Dr. Cayetana Henderson, was also one of my students. So I just have such pride in the fact that they are using the gifts with which they have been blessed to bless others. And that's the joy that I get out of all of this. And I am appreciative. I must go back to my parents very quickly. I was raised in the rural South of Eaton, North Carolina, parents who worked hard, who said, believe in yourselves. And they made certain that we had the opportunities. If we didn't have a lot of things, we did have the encouragement, if you will. And that's what I tried to do to the young people who have crossed my path. I try to encourage them, to let them know that they can do anything and everything they put their minds to. So that's all I have to say. I'm running my mouth, which I do quite a bit, but I have to go on to a United Nations call, International Women's Day. But again, I want to thank you, Ms. Kumar, for this wonderful opportunity, and all of these other individuals, ladies who have and continue to use the gifts with which they have been blessed to bless so many others. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Smith. Thank you for your time and your service. 39 years she worked in the Mount Vernon system, and she was superintendent. She was a teacher, vice principal, principal, and superintendent for 39 years. amazing. And then she's as busy as ever now after retiring. Dr. Georgie, Marilyn Georgie, I saw you. There you are.
Hello, and good afternoon to everyone. Like everyone, I just want to say thank you so much, Ms. Kumar, for including me in the project. It truly has been an absolute privilege for me, and hearing these wonderful stories this afternoon has just been truly amazing. I'm Dr. Georgie. I am a double boarded physician in pediatrics and neonatology. I am currently the director of the NICU and newborn services at Penn Medicine Princeton in Plainsboro, New Jersey. This is actually the 4th hospital that I've had the privilege to be the director of their newborn services. I am actually an immigrant woman. I come from a very small country in the Caribbean called Dominica, and I migrated here to go to college when I was 18, 19 years old. And I'm a graduate of Howard Medical School in Washington, DC. My passion really is to mentor a lot of young Black women into becoming physicians themselves or being just part of the medical field, because I do believe that representation matters. I have the opportunity to do that for students, and it really is a privilege to do that. And it's just such a satisfying thing for me to do, where that I can encourage young, especially Black women, since Black female physicians are only 2% of the physician population in this country. So we're sort of like a rare bird. You don't get to see us too often. So it really is a privilege for me to be able to do that. My newest project is being the vice president of a foundation that is geared towards improving healthcare for newborns, even outside of this country. It is geared for countries that are low and middle income who struggle to provide adequate care for newborns and at-risk women, which is primarily focused in the Caribbean. I am a mom of 3 children. I actually was a little bit late today because my daughter is on a competitive gymnastics team. So she had a gymnastics meet today and it sort of went over, but she did very well. So I'm very happy about that. And I'm just really happy to be here amongst you guys and just feel the awesomeness of this room. I know it's not physical, it's virtual, but it really is a wonderful feeling to be among women who make such a huge impact on society. And especially for those young people who look up to us towards their future. So thank you for inviting me. Thank you for including me in the book. I think it's such a wonderful project.
Thanks, Marilyn. Thanks so much. I see Patricia Palmer.
Hi.
Hi, Patricia. Glad you can make it.
Good afternoon, everyone. Sorry, I'm driving, but I love it.
Yeah, just a quick intro.
So yeah, I'm Patricia. I'm a recently licensed clinical social worker. I work in a hospital. I'm serving youth, adolescents, doing different kinds of therapies. And I've worked with individuals with developmental disabilities. I've worked with adults with severe mental health diagnoses, a couple different places. But my passion is, mental health, and particularly I like the kids. So that's pretty much me and what I do. I'm native of New Jersey, born here, lived here, did go to school out of state, but I'm back here, so.
Thank you. And I met Patricia through Alexandra, spoke earlier. Did I miss anybody? Because I'm just looking through and I think I found everyone from the book who's here. Just taking a quick look at the 72 people here. All right, I think that's everyone. Thank you everyone for presenting. So I will share my screen and we'll just take a look at the book now. And I know some may have seen it already, but for those who haven't, you'll get your preview. So give me 1 second. All right. Can everybody see?
Yes.
Great. And if anybody has questions as we're going, you can ask me, or we can wait till we finish looking through the whole book. I'll just take just a couple moments. So I'm not gonna read any of the text right now, but just wanted to show you these pages. I will read just these quotes because they're short and because I thought they were really, really beautiful quotes. Gwendolyn Brooks, poet. We are each other's harvest. We are each other's business. We are each other's magnitude and bond. And June Jordan, we are the ones we've been waiting for. So these are two quotes that really touched me and I thought were just perfect for the message and the reason behind why I wanted to do this project. Karen in her studio, the TV studio down in Princeton, where we met to do the photograph and the interview. Dr. Smith at her, the Mount Vernon High School, Mount Vernon, New York. Christine and her dance studio in New Brunswick. Blair, I didn't see Blair. I don't know. She did say she was going to show up. I'll see if she's there later. Amazing young lady. I met her in Somerville in June last year at the Juneteenth celebrations. She sang, she performed a song, and I asked her after she sang if she would like to be part of this project, and she said yes. And this was taken at William Patterson University, where she's a student. Tanya, I didn't see her earlier, but I'll see if she's there. Tanya is along with Tiana and Morgan, who were in the project. The three of them worked heavily with the Black Lives Matter chapter in Morristown. Annette, who spoke earlier, she helped, I forget the exact number, but it was a few hundred people registered to vote who were previously incarcerated last year. She got them to vote. Tamiko. in her lovely library. Pam Johnson, who this was taken outside the Presby Church in Princeton, where she's also heavily involved in, does a lot of community service. And Whitney, the cover girl. And Alexandra. So I'm not reading through the text, but if anybody wishes, you can view the entire book online. It's the entire book is there and you can read each and every page. Morgan Johnson, also one of the members of the Black Lives Matter chapter in Morristown, New Jersey. Or sorry, not one of the members, but she's also on the board. Simone Gordon. I didn't see her earlier, but I'll check. She does some pretty amazing work. She's been doing a direct giving program. So she has an Instagram page called the Black Fairy Godmother. And every day she posts about usually women who are struggling to make ends meet, women in desperate need of everything from food to rent money to diapers to shelter. And she's been actively helping many women over the last several years. And last year she raised over $150,000 for women in need during COVID. Barbara Fleith. And Keisha Pino, who is also involved, has helped with the Black Lives Matter chapter in Morristown. And she's a practicing attorney, and she eventually plans to work in criminal defense and civil rights law. Janie, who spoke earlier with a few of her books. And this is outside also the school where she works. She advocates for many of the children there with special needs. This is Ingrid Alexander, who might be on the call. She said she was going to drop by. Ingrid is trained in energy medicine, and she's actually quite knowledgeable in Ayurveda, the ancient Indian science of health. And I've actually used her Ayurvedic services several times. And Crystal, who spoke earlier. Dr. Georgie.
I'm here, Parvati.
Who is that?
Crystal.
Oh, yeah, sorry. And this is Kim Gaddy, who I don't believe is on the call. She's been working for 20 years with Clean Water Action, but she's been very active in getting environmental justice movement happening throughout New Jersey, especially in areas of low income, where the residents there get hit the worst with poor air quality and in many cases not even proper drinking water. So she's been fighting for in Newark. There's many homes that still have lead pipes, which have yet to be replaced. So even the drinking water in Newark is not good water. And she was instrumental in helping pass the first state law for environmental justice on the cumulative impact of industrial pollution. And this was taken in Franklin Township by the Raritan River. And you can see just above, there's trucks going by. So she wanted this photo, she wanted her photo to show both something of the environment, so the river, and also something of the reality of the pollution that we live with. So, this is what I did with each and every portrait that was in this book. It was a very collaborative process. So we discussed together what the best way would be to represent them, what they do, and what they believe. This is Tiana. She's the founder of the Black Lives Matter chapter in Morristown. This is Celeste Gibbons. She just retired as a teacher after several decades teaching special needs, high school special needs. Susan Hairston spoke earlier. And Patricia, social worker. And she's here standing outside the East Orange General Hospital, which is where she works. Donella, I don't believe she's on the call. She's worked in the fashion industry, but more on the production side. And she's the founder of the New Jersey Fashion Week, which unfortunately didn't happen last year due to COVID. I'm not sure what her plans are for this year. And she also works at the Chester Library, and she really works hard to bring diversity of programming to the Chester Library. And last but not least, Desiree Washington, veteran who served 14 years at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, mother to 3 grown children and an author. And she runs her own nonprofit business to help other veterans looking for employment, looking for housing, and she's helped many other veterans. Oh, and this is outside the church that she goes to. That's in Plainfield, New Jersey. And that's it as far as portraits. And in the back of the book, I've listed links pertinent to each woman, work that they're involved in or their businesses. And some resources. And as I was researching for this book, I found all kinds of amazing information, books, websites, documentaries. So I've listed those. There's a book here by Dr. Ruha Benjamin, who's a professor at Princeton University, and I'm happy to see that she's also on the call. Thank you, Ruha. And that's it. And this is the back cover, and this is Alexandra, the nurse who spoke earlier. So I'm open to any questions.
Parvati, can you say something about, and I know it's in the foreword, but for those who haven't gotten the book yet, why did you do it?
So multiple reasons. The idea to do this came after the death of George Floyd. So, I'm sure for all of us, like it was just so unthinkable. And I know we're all still feeling the pain of not only George Floyd, but all the other needless, foundless, just unbelievable deaths suffered by Black people. And I thought I wanted to do a project that it doesn't ignore the pain, but that does something that's joyful and positive. Because I mean, it's important to document and make aware of all these cases, but it's also important to celebrate and show the positive side of not only the Black culture, but I thought by focusing on Black women, you know, there are all these stereotypes and really fears, underlying fears about the other. So I thought I wanted to find these amazing women who are just right in my own community, right in my backyard, and portray them in a positive light to just show that really what is the fear? Why is there this pervasive fear? This fear that leads to misunderstandings, leads to assumptions, and leads to just the most horrific behaviors. And I wanted to show that really, at the end of the day, that there's so much in common that we have, despite physical appearance, there's just so much in common, and there's so much, we're just connected, we're just interconnected at a level that is really at a much deeper level, that I think we've forgotten, we seem to forget collectively. There's just so many tragic events in our human history that could be avoided if we just remember that we're actually connected, and we're not different really at all at a very profound level. So that's a nutshell, I suppose, reason.
Parvati, as a South Indian woman, are there any prejudices that you have experienced living in the United States?
I think now and then there have been like incidents. You know, I don't know why, but there are incidents where I've been able to speak up, like sometimes when I go to a restaurant with my family, I don't know why it is, but we're seated at a table that's not really in the best place when there are other tables available, you know, and we speak up and I say, you know, we would like to sit there. And then they oblige. And it's like, why? I don't know. And if it happened once, I would be, okay, fine, whatever. But it happens every now and then, you know. But, you know, other than that, I don't recall any like major incidents that, you know, have stung me still to this day.
How long did the book process take?
The idea came in June, and then I started researching June, July. I did most of the portraits between August and October. And then I spent about 2 to 3 months working on the book, self-publishing the book. So about 6 months altogether.
And how did you find the participants?
So I started with people who I knew, and they connected me to the other women. And several of the women are women I had heard about and contacted myself, like Simone Gordon, Blair, and Annette Scott. I just reached out and spoke to them.
Great. And how did you choose the locations?
So like I said earlier, this was a very collaborative process. So with each woman, we would discuss beforehand where we felt the best place would be to best represent who they are and what they do.
Awesome.
I have 2 questions. This is Barbara Fleith. I want to know 2 things. What was your most rewarding experience in doing this project? And what was the most challenging part of it?
I'll answer the second question first. I think the most challenging was the writing, probably. Mm-hmm. I've always loved writing, but it had been a long time since I really had to put pen to paper and just really make everything concrete as to why I'm doing this, and the message that I wanted to send out. And thankfully I had some excellent help with the whole writing process. I had an editor for the writing, I had editor for the visuals, and really great feedback from mentors. I have mentors who've spent decades editing, writing. One of them is here on the call, Pat Machin, my high school teacher, who was a really great source of help with the writing. And the most rewarding, it was just the new friendships, the new friendships that I have with these 25 women, the friendships, and also everything I learned, not only from talking to them, but all the associated research. So yeah, very eye-opening project. And I thought I knew some things about, but I really didn't know enough about, I still don't know enough about Black history, but it truly opened my eyes. And I think the one, I guess the one perspective that I heard several times doing this project and from the people I spoke with is that, I mean, there may be disagreement with this, and that's fine. But I heard U.S. history is Black history. And I thought, well, yeah, I mean, all the success that has happened over the last 400 years of US history has been on the backs of the original slaves. And there's so much success that is due to the hard work of the generations of slaves and the various resources that I read. The 1619 Project is phenomenal. So many sources that when you read about how slavery came about and how the success of this country came about, and you find out who is really behind facilitating that success, then I think that was a big takeaway for me, to see that US history is Black history.
Parvati, why did you choose black and white photographs as a medium?
So the reason they're all black and white is, so color photographs are about color. So I love color photography, but really in the art of color photography, the focus tends to be the color. But when you make photos monochromatic, grayscale, then the focus changes to be on the content. And in the case of this project, the focus then goes to the individual. So I wanted the person to be the focus. And I also, the pictures are not just black and white, they're sepia. So there's a warm tone to them. And there's a few reasons for that as well. So the sepia it gives a warmer feeling. And I wanted that to reflect the warmth of the people who I photographed. There's a historical component to it. So in the 1800s, there were so many photographs that were, I mean, most of the photographs taken then were in a sepia tone. So there's the sepia of the photos I took allude to the ancestors, our ancestors of these women, ancestors of this country. Also, just a side note that when I was researching, I learned more about Frederick Douglass. I'd known about him, but I learned more. I didn't know that in the late 1800s, he was the most photographed person in the United States. So with the advent of photography, he took advantage of photography, and he knew that there is a power and there is an influence of photography. So as a Black man who escaped slavery and became such a strong abolitionist, he knew that by having his photos taken, and he had many, and shown throughout the world, that this would show a side of Black people that the world needed to see, as opposed to other images of Black culture at the time that the world might be seeing. He wanted to show him as a statesman, as someone who is dignified. So yeah, those are the main reasons.
Parvati, many people would like to self-publish. How difficult was the process?
So I've been making books for a long time, my own personal projects, as well as for clients. So I've been familiar with a lot of the software tools, but I wouldn't say it's hard once you get started, and there's a lot of tools available that I'm happy to share if anyone's interested. And yeah, it's just a matter of finding the right tool, the right software, or, it doesn't even have to be through computer software. A lot of people do handmade books. There's a whole art form, a whole world in itself of self-publishing.
Awesome.
Bookmaking.
We are in the last hour of our program. Does anyone else have questions for Parvati before we move on to the next segment? Okay. So we have a few questions for the participants of the book. I believe Karen Delk is still here, correct?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so Karen, the quote from your bio page says, "Stay steady, follow your course, speak your truth, and be authentic." This is not always easy for people of color to do in corporate America or anywhere else for that matter. How did you navigate through Fortune 500 companies with this philosophy?
That's an excellent question. You have to figure out how you want to show up and what story you want to be told. And I learned actually from my dad, who I think is still on here, that you have to define who you are for yourself, and then you share that with others as opposed to having others define you. And so with that in mind, I decided how I wanted to show up. And then I knew I had to use my voice, to describe myself. Otherwise, other people will describe you. They'll still describe you anyway, right? But you have a better influence of the perception of you when you define yourself on your own terms. And so that's what I coach my clients about, because oftentimes they don't know how they're perceived, or there's a perception of them that they want to change, they want to influence. And so we work on that.
Awesome. And how did you create a network of support to manage those days when things didn't go so well?
That's another excellent question. I encourage clients to have what I call COIs, which are centers of influence. And, the simple truth is, again, another one of my father's sayings, what are people going to say about you when your name comes up and you're not in the room? And so this is around reputation. And you need to be mindful of your reputation. That's your public persona. And so you can manage that as well by being mindful of, how you operate in the world. I talk to my clients around executive presence. And executive presence is, a little bit about your character, your honesty, your authenticity, your constraint. It's about your substance, which is your practical wisdom, your confidence, your vision for your future, and then your style, which is both your outward appearance, but also your nonverbals. How do you manage that? And so those three together, character, substance, and style, are what's comprised of executive presence. And I really try to help individuals understand how they're showing up. And whether you're a tall person or you're 4'2", you can take up the room. It's all about your confidence, your belief in yourself. And I'll just cite Simone Biles. She, I think, is literally 4.2 or 4'2". And, she is the most decorated gymnast, awesome, strong, talented woman. And so, sometimes people can be very tall and they shrink in the room. And it's about your confidence, learning to be yourself. And believe it or not, that takes a lifetime. We're all evolving. And that's what's so beautiful about this book, because it's a demonstration and a snapshot of who we are right now. And we're going to continue to evolve by virtue of this experience. So Varthi, I encourage you to take another snapshot of us, maybe not 25 years from now, but maybe 5 or 10.
That's a great segue into my last question for you, Karen. How has your experience participating in this book changed you?
Oh, that's an excellent question. You know, it was really funny because, as I said, Pam Johnson, you know, called me and said that she was giving my name to a photojournalist. And my first question was, why? I didn't even understand it. And it wasn't until Parvarthi came to the studio and she was talking to the studio manager and she said, I'm doing this book on phenomenal women. And I said, what? I mean, I had not heard it described that way. And I was like, well, why am I in there? And she said, no, this is about phenomenal women. And so I think what I am learning is I put one foot in front of the other every day. I just try to be a little bit better. And I don't think of myself that way. I'm being totally transparent. I can think of all the things that I need to do better. As opposed to giving myself a pat on the back when I do something well. And so this book helps me to frame what I tell my clients all the time. You know, celebrate yourself and don't beat yourself up. And so this is my lesson from this book. And I thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Karen, for your answers. I'd like to move to Tomiko next. Tomiko, I'm sure your work as a civil rights attorney has seen your share of injustice. How did those experiences lead you to start your own not-for-profit?
So ever since I can remember when I started in college, I had thought that, you know, my only focus was, after I started taking more and more classes regarding African American history and classes in injustice, was to go into the legal field. I thought that, you know, forever I was going to be a legal eagle, you know, fighting injustices as a civil rights attorney. Worked in the field for a few years, and, you know, life happens, there's different transitions, and sometimes you find yourself recognizing that I know that, you know, the causes of civil rights and equal justice and equity are in my heart and are what I want to pursue as a, you know, in my life. However, you don't necessarily want to continue on the same path in that way. And that could be very scary at the time when, you know, you're a very linear kind of person. You know, I said, I knew my mom's on the call now, my sister, so they know you're going to high school, you're going to graduate, you're going to go to college. Oh no, and then you need to go ahead and do something right afterwards. And for me, that was law school. So, but when you start to just imagine other opportunities for yourself, it may be scary, but there are certain things that hold true. And so for me as a civil rights attorney, and then working all the time also in the nonprofit field, whether with the ACLU, with the EEOC, and then with the civil rights firm I worked with, at the core of that was the injustice and inequities, particularly for Black and Brown people. So for me, in starting, you know, Sweet Reads now 4 years ago, and taking a look at the educational system, and unfortunately the disparity in regards to reading materials, ownership of books for children, it still was a common theme in why I started Sweet Reads, because I took a look at my own children's books that they have, you know, proud mom of almost 15-year-old twins, which I can't believe, but was looking at books that they had outgrown at the time, but were sitting on their shelves. And thankfully they were fortunate enough that they had different books to choose from, and some were a little bit more, you know, worn than others, a little bit more loved, I like to say, than others. But there were other books that were sitting on their shelves that were completely perfect and wonderful condition. And in my heart of hearts and thinking about it, couldn't take those books and just put them, you know, as we donate things, to go sit on a shelf somewhere else until someone else, you know, came and maybe perhaps bought them or so, because there are so many children in our communities who do not have books at home. They do not have a plethora. I grew up, thankfully, my mom's educator, father was educator. She's a former, as many here, teacher, principal, you know, Black woman, with her school for all of her years until she retired. And so we had a number of books at home. And so in forming Sweet Reads, I, you know, with the support of my husband and my family and the community, really feel like it's a way to provide books in the form of love, in the form of justice, and providing the equity so that our, you know, Black children can still have the same opportunities to dream, to explore, to laugh at books, to learn, and just being able to provide civil rights, which I believe books are a civil right, that everyone should be able to have all the books that they want in that way.
Awesome. My last question for you, Tomiko, is how has being a participant in this photo book influenced you?
Well, I was very thankful to my friend, and she was an author on the call, Janie, who I've gotten to know in the past couple of years, and she had actually referred me and referred Poverty to me. And, you know, at first, you know, just as we all are sometimes like hesitant, like, well, what does this mean? How's this going to develop? And also like, as you know, like Karen was saying, like, why me? Because I just feel like we as women, particularly sometimes Black women, just do what we do, and every day we're not necessarily looking at ourselves in the lens or the scope of, oh, it's, you know, extraordinary. We're just doing what we're continuing to do, whether it's from what we've seen from our parents or other family members or so, and just kind of continuing in life because that's just our way of being. So, you know, I thought it was a beautiful, and when I met with her and, you know, finding out the reasons why, and then just and who she was speaking with other women, I feel like it really has even helped me to be more confident in that way of celebrating myself, and that, and just, you know, self-affirming in the way that we should continue to celebrate each other. You know, like, even though we take it as common ground, like that's just what we do, it doesn't mean that it shouldn't be celebrated. So, you know, I am just more than honored to be on the pages with these wonderful women, and to, you know, to hear their stories today, to read from the books, and, you know, and just, it's a wonderful thing.
Thank you so much. Someone into the chat or asked the question, how can they donate books? So would you mind placing in the chat so everyone can see, I guess, a website or a link to tell people how to donate books to your organization?
Absolutely. I will put it in. I will be transparent in that we also are having a company right now working on updating our website, a Black-owned woman company. So I was very happy to work with. They are creating a new and beautiful site for us. So if things seem a little bit weird, know that we already have the site. We're updating the new one. But so I will put our website as well as my email address so that anyone could just email me personally if they're having any sort of issues. So I appreciate that, whoever asked.
Awesome. Thank you for your answers, Tomiko.
Thank you, Dr. Robinson.
Smith, you're welcome. To Whitney Smith. Is she still on the line? Whitney, are you there?
Yeah, she's here. I think she's just has to unmute. I just wanted to quickly say that I know Karen mentioned it and Tomiko mentioned it, like, why me? This why me? And I thought, like, another reason why I did this whole project is these are individual stories of 25 women from one relatively small geographic area, like about an hour's radius from where I live. But I think that your stories are representative of so many women, not only across the country, but in Canada and around the world, just, women who are working really hard, making a difference, and not just Black women, of course, other women of color and all women who are just working hard and contributing so much, and you're women that others can relate to, because we see, of course, there are amazing women out there in politics, in all areas, but I wanted this book to be women who are everyday women, so that viewers and audience who see these women, they can relate to them and feel, celebrities are great, but they're kind of like in another dimension, whereas you guys are everyday women. You represent a larger story. So it's like small stories that really map out to a much larger story.
Awesome. Thank you, Parvati. I'd like to move next to Barbara. Barbara Fleith, are you there? Sister Barbara Fleith. Elder Barbara Fleith.
Really elder Barbara Fleith.
You look wonderful for how young you are.
Okay, thank you for saying that. I'm in a soft light.
Barbara, how have you been able to influence others while serving on committees and boards for underprivileged populations?
My father was a union man. I was born during the Depression. I was born in 1933, when there were a lot of marginalized. Everybody was marginalized. I didn't know there was another way to be. But we talked about justice all the time at home. We talked about justice. We talked about being Black. We talked about being responsible. So and in my career, I have been, I'm a retired educator. I've been director of Head Start programs. Let me back up and say, every single thing I ever did that had to do with education had to do with at-risk children and their families. And there's a part of me that I think comes from my faith. I happen to be a Christian. There are other ways to be in the world, but if my faith informs who I am and what I do. And I was listening to everyone, and I'm so excited because I came from a time when I was in college in the 50s, when African-American women majored in teaching or social work. There was not even a business ed major. There were no choices. And all of you are so fabulous, and I love you all, and I wish I could hug everybody and say, well done and keep going. And but I've been, I was thinking about, as Karen was talking, Karen, I never really thought about branding myself. It's a little late to do it, but I'm going to give it some thought. But I have been a social justice activist for 60 years. And I've been that in my community, in my church, and in my marriage, and certainly in my work. And it's brought me great, it's very hard work, by the way. You pick up, you start with whatever it is you do. And I've done a variety of organizations and groups. I have been faithful. I always show up. I always care. And I'm always learning more. And the other thing I want to say to everybody is, whatever you do and whatever you learn, pass it on. Our job is not just to enrich ourselves, but you lift somebody else up. And when you see a person who's shining, just put another star on them. I could put it that way. So that when I retired, if you can imagine, in the early 80s, and I was trying to decide what to do with my life and how it was going to be. So I had friends who were playing bridge. I had friends who were going on cruises. The girls all did that. And it never interested me because a kid was hungry somewhere or something was happening to someone African American or whatever. And I knew if I could play a part and be a part of helping it change and grow and be different, then that is what I did. And here I am ending at 87, still on 3 committees. I have a mind. I'm very blessed that I can still, I know who I am, as I say to people, and I can drive my car during the days. And I'm always reading, and that's really all I need.
Awesome.
Was that helpful?
Very helpful. Amen. One other question. Can you explain, there must be someone on the call that doesn't understand what the new Jim Crow is. So would you be kind enough to break that down for us?
I'm happy to do that. I've been part of the new Jim Crow for about 7 or 8 years now, and it's a book by Michelle Alexander. And in it, she describes with great data and wonderful writing and very clear, thoughtful writing about the challenge of African Americans and the prison system, but not just the prison system, but also courts, policing, how moving through the criminal justice system labels people of color, particularly African Americans, very early. We deal with something called school to prison pipeline, which has to do with why I'm working with 2nd graders in Trenton, because if kids are not reading by 3rd grade, you have to read. After 3rd grade, you have to read to learn. And so the channeling of children into these groups starts very early and has much to do with education, has to do with the community, has to do with poverty and all of it. But in reading Michelle Alexander's book and learning the numbers, which started, say, in the war of drugs in the 80s, war on drugs in the 80s, really started this decision to mass incarcerate men and women of color. And we still live in a very corrupt justice system. But the work, and I'll just give you one percentage so you'll know, so this can be for everything. 70% of the people in New Jersey state prisons are African, are people of color, and of that 70%, 50% are African American. So that just gives you the numbers. And also in working with the youth detention group, which I also have some relations with, 236 kids are in detention centers in New Jersey. Of the 236, 13 are white. So this just gives you a stark, really, really stark reason of what mass incarceration looks like. And I hope it's helpful. I hope my answer is helpful.
Yes, thank you, Sister Barbara, for all your work. Thank you so much.
I'm gonna keep carrying on. I had a friend who's older than me, and he said, Barbara, I just decided to wear myself out. So that's what I'm gonna do too.
Well, I have a joke. I tell people I'm going to work until I'm 150.
Wow.
I hope you'll be right next to me.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. I'd like to next speak to Dr. Marilyn. Is she still on the call?
Yes, I am.
Okay, welcome. My question for you, Dr. Marilyn, is how do you educate your own children about how to move through the world safely?
Actually, that's a great question.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting that you asked me that today, because I just spoke. So last year, I do a lot of mentoring for young Black women who have an idea of getting into medicine. I think it's so important for us to tell them, yes, they can. Yes, they can be a part of this. Yes, they can do this. I was lucky that I grew up in the Caribbean. And so I felt that by the time I got to this country, I kind of had a good sense of myself. I love that Karen said today, define who you are for yourself. So I've always been taught that I could do anything. And I don't think I realized, because it was difficult for me to do this, to leave. I come from an island that is 70,000 people. But interestingly enough, my closest friends are all physicians. Like I grew up with 3 other girls very close, and we all became physicians. I was the only one who came to this country. The others trained in England and in South Africa and other places. But I was lucky that I knew since I was young that I could do this. And I feel that in this country, a lot of our young girls especially are not made to feel that they can. So I do mentor a lot of high school kids. Like last year during the pandemic, I did a forum for at-risk kids in Philadelphia, just young Black girls who I wanted to encourage in science and technology and medicine and math and all of that stuff. And I shared with them that it was so interesting. If ever there was a time that showed you that medicine and science and math is important, this is the time, because in the midst of what we're going through, science is what is taking us out of this. So I do that for, high school girls and college kids and residents and that sort of thing. But I also look to the people that are close to me. So last year, I had a bunch of 8, 9, 10-year-olds. Actually, they were 9 and 10-year-olds who I did the talk with. I took them to a park and we sat and we had a nice conversation about our bodies and how it works, and that they shouldn't be ashamed of it, and how they protect it, how they should protect themselves in spaces. And it went over really well. And today I was talking to my daughter and I said to her, you know what? It went so well, I feel like I should have a follow-up. And I'm going to call it like a girls empowerment session. And I just think it's important for me. My daughter was listening to this, by the way, as we just came from her gymnastics meet, but she was just listening to all of you. And I just think it's so important for her to hear this, for her to hear other Black women, because like Karen said, when I was asked to do this, I was like, why me? Why me? Not realizing all the things that I do and all the things that I participate in and how much a lot of people look up to me doing this. I just do it, as Tamiko said, and I just don't pay attention to it. So I talk to I have one daughter and I have 2 sons, and I talk to all of them about this, about making an impact, about, how they treat people and how they have to represent themselves. So it's not even just for medicine. I think it's just so important for us to empower our young Black girls.
Awesome. Dr. Marilyn, I'm currently working on a research study about Gen Z and relationships during COVID. So I would love to partner with you. The end result will be to deliver a workshop to young people going off to college about, how to have relationships, how to keep their bodies safe. So I would love to partner with you once my research is completed.
Absolutely. I would love to. Anything that brings, as Barbara said, brings the next group up. I always say I do look young, but I've actually graduated from medical school 20 years ago. This will be my 21st year. So it just really is not, I strongly believe that I'm here and my job is to bring some others along with me. As I said, imagine when I graduated from Howard in 2000, Black females were 1% of the physician population. It has doubled, but that is just 2%.
Right. So Dr. Marilyn, it looks like me, you, and Sister Barbara are going to have to live to 150 so that we can get all the work done.
Exactly. I'm determined to make it better for some young girls.
Yes, thank you. And my last question to you, Dr. Marilyn, is I'm sure, given that when you were going to medical school, there was only 1% of the population that was Black or a person of color. I'm sure you had some struggles with trying to fit in and being respected, trying to command respect. Can you tell me, given your own struggles as an immigrant and a foreign student, how do you advise women of color today to pursue positions in the medical field?
So thank you for that question. And I, as Karen was talking, I was writing notes because I never sort of put it to words like that. And I think one of the things that Karen said, which I'm going to echo, is I think it's important for us to define who we are. And I also think it's important for us to understand we deserve a seat at the table. We belong here just like anyone else. So for anyone who's thinking about this or want to do this, because even now even at this level, I have been a director of 4 hospitals in this area for neonatology. And even now, sometimes I get sort of questioned because I'll give you a funny story. On my medical badge, I have this big red sign that says doctor on it. And a lot of people make fun of that because they're like, why do you have a big red sign that says doctor? And I'll tell you, the experience of a lot of Black physicians is that we would go into a room and I would say, hi, my name is Dr. Georgie. And they'll be talking to someone and they'll say, the nurse is in the room. The nurse is here, I'll call you back. Or I've had some of my colleagues thought they were housekeeping and understand that every part of medicine, nurses, housekeeping, everyone is important in healthcare. But we play a particular role and we have to be identified for that role. And so it is very important for me to let them know who I am, because when I walk in, there's something that I need to convey to them, and it's important they know who I am. So I say all of that to just say that we need to know that we belong here, because even at this level, I still get questioned about it. And it's okay for them to question that, but we have to know who we are and that we belong here.
Absolutely. Excellent answer. Thank you, Dr. Marilyn, for all that you do. I'd like to move next to Pamela Johnson. Is she still on the line? Pamela, are you there?
I am. I'm unmuting. Okay, I'm here.
Thank you. So I have a few questions for you.
Okay.
The COVID-19 pandemic has brought to the forefront the disparities in healthcare for people of color. How does the work you do as a healthcare broker help to break that barrier?
Yes. So as a health insurance broker, it's very important that my clients clearly understand what they're entitled to, that they clearly understand the benefits that they have, any kind of additional benefits that they're entitled to. And with COVID in particular, they should know that they should not hesitate to seek medical attention, because a lot of the health insurance companies are waiving copays, waiving the cost of care, and any COVID-related treatment has no cost to them. And so it's very important for people not to wait to get services. And if they understand that before they are sick, that's important. There's also a move towards virtual visits, and virtual visits may come at no copay or at low cost. And so it's important for people, especially during COVID, to continue to get care and to seek care and treatment, even when it's not COVID related. So that's been important. And in my role, especially working with seniors, it's important to put people at ease. There is a lot of distrust. There's a lot of frustration with the cost of medications, with not actually even understanding how Medicare, for example, works. A lot of people think that Medicare is free, or if you listen to the news, it's Medicare is free for all. Well, it's not. People pay a premium to the government each month. And then on top of that, it doesn't cover all of the costs of insurance, of medical care. So my role is really to educate my clients. And now I'm very passionate about helping other women to become brokers, because it's a largely male industry. My clients tell me that, they didn't like a particular broker. And these are, people of all backgrounds who will say, I did not like that guy. He did not listen. And so it is a great opportunity for women. We are great listeners to understand, our clients and the needs. And in some ways, I'm really a social worker, because I end up speaking to the children of my Medicare clients and helping them get services, helping them apply for prescription drug assistance, low income subsidies, senior gold programs. I'm not a specialist in Medicaid, but I'm getting some partnerships because there really is a need for people to get the assistance that they need. As I mentioned, I'm recruiting. I have a upcoming workshop next Saturday for women who are interested in getting into the business. And so I have to say with Parvati, I think that this project has helped us all to tell our own stories, right? So I feel like immediately after our interview and the day we met, it all came together, and I kind of understood my own story better when you actually say it, right? When you actually start to have a conversation about what's your story, and so I'm thankful about that. I think you're muted, Dr. Robinson.
Sorry about that. You actually answered my second question. How has this journey as a participant in the book influenced the work you'll do in the future?
I was very busy when we first met, and I think I kept putting off the photo because I'm like, oh, not me. It's like these other people. And I think though I'm very inspired by the work that a lot of the women are doing, and I could think of probably 3 or 4 people that I need to reach out to from the book and from today's discussion. I think it's very important to continue to bridge these relationships, and it's about making connections, right? And how we can all move forward, make connections, and help each other, help one another.
Thank you so much. So Pamela, if people, there are plenty of people looking for jobs now, how can one get in touch with you if they would like to apply for your positions?
Sure, I can put my email in the chat and my phone number. That would be the best way. I'm going to have a series of information sessions. They actually won't be working for me. They will be independent and will have their own businesses in a sense. And it really doesn't take a lot. You do need a health insurance license, but I will provide all of the training and connections to do that. So
awesome. Thank you. Would you put the information in the chat?
Sure.
Awesome. Okay. Who else do we have on the line, Parvati?
Let's see. Whitney's still there.
Okay. Is Whitney muted? Is she available to speak? Whitney, are you there?
Dr. Robinson, this is Susan Hairston. May I go, because I have to pop off the call. So
sure, Susan. So my question for you, Susan, is, as the first Black person elected to City Council in Summit, New Jersey, what challenges have you faced? Any bigotry?
So what challenges have I faced? I want to begin. So bigotry, of course, we're gonna say in a very unspoken way, yes. Mm-hmm. But I think I want to piggyback on what I heard Karen speak about, and maybe a theme from some of the other women of having your own story and having your own self-confidence. And so when it was Ingrid Alexander who had recommended me to Parvati to be interviewed, and I had the same reaction. It was like, no. Although being a political figure, I'm out and about and have to campaign. Intrinsically, I am introverted, which you would just never ever guess having met me. But because my professional life has required me to be out and about And, but inside that imposter syndrome thing that people talk about, well, I had to fight that in not feeling equipped to be a council person. And so, but as I dig deeper into that, I have the other side of it, that is people don't expect Black women to be in positions of power and authority and decision making. And so that's what creates the imposter syndrome. That's what creates our self-doubt. And because, as Dr. Marilyn said, people just don't expect her to be a doctor. And so bigger than bigotry and low expectations, it was that own self-confidence that I had to grasp onto to be a councilwoman. And so, so thank you for asking that question, because I always want to get it out there we have to change that narrative in our head that says we always have to prove ourselves and we always have to take care of others. Those are messages that are given to Black women in quiet ways and in overwhelmingly powerful ways. And I have raised 4 daughters and a son, and I make a joke. I raise them all to be white men because I want them to have that confidence and entitlement and freedom to be their authentic selves. And when I met Parvati, it was in a time where I was feeling very unsure, and it was such a good conversation with her. That's why I appreciated Pamela saying, having that conversation was like, oh, made me think, this is who I am, this is what I've done, and I was grateful.
Awesome, thank you.
Can you also briefly mention the demographics of Summit?
Yes, so Summit is a very affluent community. It is probably 80, maybe like 80% white, and it is maybe around 10% Latino, and maybe 6%, and I probably, if you were to add these up, it may not add up, but a very small percentage African American. And I'm 4 generations in. And so this means my great-great-grandmother was here. Wow. And it was a higher percentage there. So there's less Black people in the community now. And so that's why it's so amazing. Parvati is saying, you got elected, and you need to know I carry myself like I own this town. What are you talking about?
You know, I grew up, Susan, in a neighboring town, Irvington, New Jersey, and I remember what Summit was like in the 70s and 80s. It was a town that not many Black people ventured to because there was a high stoppage rate, for lack of a better way to describe it, of Black people being stopped when they rode through Summit.
Wow. Wow.
So it wasn't the most fun place.
But I want you to know the number of Black people have increasingly decreased. Wow. And you wonder if that's because it's that Jim Crow thing going on. It's happening. Systemic racism is changing the faces of so many communities. And it is why I want women to run for office, Black women, white women, Asian women, because we need to be in positions of power and to save this country is the way I'm feeling about it. But I'm sorry you had that experience in Summit. I hope you still feel comfortable driving through here.
I do now, but not so much as a high school student.
True, it's really true.
Yeah. So my last question to you, Susan, is how will this photo book experience influence your work to strengthen not-for-profits?
Well, just the number of women included in this book who are affiliated with the nonprofit community, I'm hoping that will increase my network. Because I feel nonprofits are underfunded, that's why I'm in the business. I come from private philanthropy and foundations, which is a huge world of money that no one knows anything about. This is the 1%ers. And I want to make sure that nonprofits are able to get those funds. And so I hope to continue to be more informed about how more nonprofits can get these dollars. So thank you for asking me that question, and be intentional.
Susan, thank you for your work in the community. It's greatly appreciated. I'd like to move next to Crystal Ramsey. Are you still on the call, Crystal?
I saw her a moment ago. Let me just. She might have dropped off, but let me, oh no, she's there. She's there. She's there.
Okay, Chris, welcome.
Yes.
Are you there? Okay. Crystal, just a few questions for you.
Yes.
How has your difficult life journey affected the work you do to empower others?
It's difficult. As a matter of fact, I was in a meeting last night, and there's a guy who lives in Connecticut, and he struggles, and every day he comes to the meeting and he's saying that and I have a joke, and I said, if you keep going back to the scene of the crime, you're gonna keep picking up. And I said, if you stay away from the scene, chances are you won't use. So I struggled with drugs just about 28 years ago. I got diagnosed when I was 23 with HIV, and it was in the 90s when it was that stigma about people who contract this disease they called it the thing. They never called it what it was. And it was a lot of discrimination, and I got some of it. And so in the beginning, I kept it a secret because I didn't want anybody to know. Now I'm from Asbury Park, which is 1 square mile long. So when I thought it was a secret, everybody knew. But then I decided that I'm going to speak out because it gave me freedom, that I didn't have to hide it anymore. And you ladies were talking about being your authentic self. And when I released it, it helped a lot of people free themselves from the bondage of hiding the fact that we contracted a blood disorder.
Wow. Powerful. Crystal, how will your life journey and your experience as a participant with this photo book influence the work you plan to do with teens and female survivors of domestic abuse?
I think because I am a survivor of domestic abuse, and I have 2 adult children, and I have a granddaughter who just retired from the military. And in this journey that I have been on, it will help me to encourage other women that they are worth something, and that they don't have to settle to be accepted by a man. Because all my life I just wanted to be accepted, so I settled for less than what I deserve. So if a man started putting his hands on me, I accepted it for a long time because I felt like at some point I deserved it, until I began to fight back and realize that my worth is not in one of a man, but in the God that I serve. And when I began to realize this, it was like, watch out.
Crystal, you're a strong woman, and I'm going to be contacting you about my workshop for young people.
Yes. So I have a daughter who now I had a son that contracted the virus through birth, and he passed away June 13th of 96. He was 7. And I was clean then, thank God. And he got the brunt of my active addiction. A year later, my 13-year-old daughter was raped. And when I found out, she was 6 months pregnant in the 8th grade. And she was a National Honor Society student. And to find out that, and this all happened 96, 97, and to find out that your baby is pregnant by someone who took advantage of her. But she had a baby and she was in alternative school, and she came home crying one day because she was frustrated because she was teaching the teachers algebra. And I said, it's okay. You're only going to be there for a couple more months. You'll be in high school and you'll be a freshman and you'll be okay. She graduated number 3 out of 350 students, and she just graduated from Keene University in January with her bachelor's in biology with a 4.0 GPA.
Wow, you go, Mom.
So she's going to be a pediatrician, and I think she's applied to some of the medical schools like Howard and Boston and Livingston and some other schools. And then my son, he just turned 30. He has his own cookie business. So he started making these cookies. One day he was just in the kitchen and he has Fruity Pebble cookies and honey bunches of oats cookies and pound cakes. And that's what he does. And my granddaughter, she's 23. She just retired from the Army in September. So now she's in college. We're in her second year with her master's in social work.
Wow, Crystal, you have produced some really great children.
Yeah.
Remarkable children, but they come from a remarkable mom. So you could teach us all a lesson about how to be strong in the face of adversity.
Oh, absolutely. I'm going to tell you that. So, I have been living with this blood disorder for 36 years. And one of the things that I do is a motivational speaker when I go around and I let people know. Like one of the reasons I have to tell you guys that in 2005, I was swallowing 32 pills a day. And this was in the beginning. I was swallowing them for about 10 years. And one day I convinced myself that they weren't working anymore. So I stopped taking them. But before I stopped taking them, I went to my doctor and I said, I don't want to take them anymore. And she said, it's not a good idea, but I can't make you. And I stopped taking them, and it took about a year, and the virus started to affect my eyesight. So I wound up in a nursing home for 18 months. I did a lot of damage to myself, and I had to forgive myself for what I did when I knew the information that it could happen. I couldn't walk for 6 months. I was in a wheelchair for 6 months, and I'm in this place and I'm totally without sight. And I began to feel sorry for myself. And I just remember laying in my bed feeling sorry because nobody would come and get me. And this granddaughter of mine, she was 9, and I call her my saving grace because I raised her when her mother went to college right out of high school. And she would call me every night and she would say, Grandma, I'm praying for you to get your sight back, and I'm praying for you to get out that nursing home. And I began to get up and go to physical therapy. And I started walking, and there was only 2 floors in the nursing home. They couldn't find me nowhere.
Wow.
So it's because of her that she would call me every day and encourage me to get up and do something so that she could come back to Jersey, because they moved to North Carolina. And so she could come back to New Jersey and take care of her grandmother. Now, I had a seizure in January, and she lives in Arizona. She and her 2 little service dogs drove all the way from Arizona to New Jersey to come see about me.
Wow, you're truly blessed. Crystal, is there someone that can get you the information that was placed in the chat by, I think, Dr. Marilyn.
Yeah.
Okay, so make sure that they get that information for your daughter, okay?
Oh, absolutely. I was gonna ask Parvati for that information anyway, because she been looking for someone to shadow. You know, she's really intelligent. Right now, she's working in a lab running coronaviruses.
Wow, wow. Well, Crystal, it's been great getting to know you.
Yes, yes.
So much for your honesty and your integrity, and you know, teaching us all a lesson about courage.
Yes.
Okay, so
Thank you.
you're very welcome. Parvati, is there someone else on the line?
Yes, Alexandra's here. And Whitney is still there, and Patricia. Let me just see if Patricia's still here.
Patricia's here as well. We're together, actually.
Oh, wow. Fancy that.
Okay, Patricia, I have some questions for you as well. Let me just get to my page. Give me a moment, please. Okay. So Patricia, tell me, how has this experience influenced you or influenced your work in the future?
I think just listening to all of these women and their stories and hearing, you know, me and Alexandra were just talking about how we were so hesitant to say anything about the book, even though it's such a big thing. You know, our line sisters, if they're still here, can attest, we told them a little bit late just because we were so nervous. So I think for me, it's, you know, remembering, you know, that it's okay and appropriate to celebrate my accomplishments and share them with other people. And, you know, so for me, just doing that a little bit more, I think, has been my biggest takeaway.
Awesome. Patricia, the work that you do you encounter any obstacles as a Black woman in the work that you do?
I would say at times, I think that some families, I work a lot with children, so you work a lot, you know, with parents, and some families sort of more covertly might question if they think that, you know, my experience or skills, and I'm a little bit younger, so my age also comes into question, you know, they don't know if I'm going to be the right fit. You know, they'll say that in one way or another. So that can be challenging because, you know, it does cause me to, you know, look a little bit more at myself and wonder what is wrong with me. But I've learned that it's not me, it's, you know, their experience of me. And it's unfortunate, but sometimes it does happen. And I've had some more, you know, overtly say that I'm stupid or, you know, I don't know what I'm talking about, you know, because, you know, I have worked with adults with severe mental health, you know, issues. So they can be very disrespectful, honestly, you know, when they might be experiencing some kind of psychoses and, you know, things of that nature. So I guess those are my challenges.
And how do you prove that? What do you do to inspire yourself and motivate yourself to push through that?
I think supervision. For me, you know, I work also with a company, Hope Therapeutic Services, and it's run by 3 Black women. So, you know, executive director, I definitely consult my supervisor, and, you know, she's always supportive, backs me up, makes sure that I know, you know, I did the right thing in certain situations, or, you know, just taking a step back to collect or, you know, get someone else that can jump in certain situations. I think that helps me a lot.
Wow, thank you so much for your insight. Alexandra, what is the biggest obstacle you face when trying to convince healthcare professionals to self-nurture?
Oh, that's a great question. I would say the biggest thing people would say is that they don't have the time. And I found that when I was doing clinicals my senior year of school, I met a nurse. I was taking care of her. She had just retired the week before, got sick, had a stroke. She said, I wish I took time to just take care of myself before even getting here, because now I can't even enjoy retirement. So I think that's the biggest obstacle that I face, and always wanting to be that person. If the unit is short staffed, we have to be there to fill it in. We want to be there to take care of the patients. If we're not there, how's the unit going to survive? So really changing that mindset and saying to ourselves, the hospital, that's their job. That's administration's job to find people to work. It is not our job to staff the unit when we cannot be there as a full person, or take on all these extra shifts, overtime shifts, if we know we cannot do it to the best capabilities and not feel bullied into it. I know at one point I had someone say, oh, you're not going to do an extra shift. You're not being a team player. And I went home. I was like, oh man, I'm not a team. I talked to one of my mentors. She was like, no, you do not have to do anything extra that you don't want to do. And you need to rest and take care of yourself as well. So I think finding the time and just realizing that we're powerful and our voice can set the stage, and we can say no. No is a full sentence, and we don't have to work extra.
And Alexandra, I guess during COVID, that must have been a really difficult thing to do, to say no, when on television they were showing most healthcare professionals were working round the clock without breaks. So where did you find the courage to say no?
Very tricky situation, because I think COVID even changed my view on everything, because I did have a hard time saying no. It's the newest thing I've ever experienced. I went from taking care of a set number of patients to a lot more than what I was used to. So I can honestly say it was challenging. And I think going through COVID, having a family member who was a nurse, she passed away. She wasn't working at the time, but seeing everybody's lives just change, I think I was at a pause and a standstill to say, what do I do? How do I say no? And kind of now as the dust is settling, I can say, okay, now I've gained a better footing. But while it was happening, honestly, I can't say I was that person saying, nope, not going to do it, this and that. It was hard. So I think now that the dust is settling, we're realizing it's important. You saw nurses just try to run in to help save patients, and they didn't have the proper equipment, and some of them lost their lives to it. So that's not okay, and that didn't help the patient or us. And it's all across the country. So it's something that's totally new. It changed my view on everything. I had to sit back for a while and look at my message and see if I was taking on my own tips that I was telling everybody else. So I actually took a step away from social media and took a break to kind of reset and realign, to say, is what I'm saying aligning with what I'm doing for myself? So COVID was hard.
Wow, thank you. Wow, Alexandra, you're in a tough position. My last question to you is, how has participation in this book influenced the work that you do?
Oh, wow. This book has shown me right next door, I have people who are doing amazing things. And I think you're so siloed at times, especially with COVID, go to work, go back home. You can't really network as much as before. So now seeing all these beautiful women come together, having this forum, and being one of the youngest on here, I'm like, wow, I have some great, I'm standing on the shoulders of giants. You guys have done amazing things. So it's such a humbling experience to hear everybody's voice and their views and hearing how they got through things, because I wouldn't be where I am. We wouldn't be where we are if we didn't have those mentors who came before us. I wouldn't be where I was saying no if I didn't have my grandpa telling me don't work overtime. Honestly, so having all these people and all these women on the call is super inspiring. I definitely have a bout of imposter syndrome at times, like, should I be here? Do I have enough credentials? But just hearing everybody say embrace the authentic side of themselves, be us, be you, it's very uplifting. And I take that with me now as I approach work, where it's not where sometimes I am the only Black woman there. So now I'm like, nope, I still have my solid people behind me. I can reference you guys in the books and look at your wonderful accomplishments. So it's just been a blessing. And I'm so glad this project was brought together, because it truly has lightened up and brightened my life. And I'm glad to see all of us highlighted in our own ways and getting our flowers while we're here.
Awesome. Patricia and Alexandra, thank you so much for your work in the community and work in healthcare.
Thank you for having us.
You're very welcome. Okay, so we know it's 4:30, but I'm committed to interviewing, asking questions of the remaining participants. Parvati, who else is on the line?
Whitney's still there.
Okay. Whitney, are you
And
here with us? Okay. Who else?
I think Annette was there, but I think she dropped off. I think it might be just Whitney.
Okay. Whitney, are you there?
Let me send her a quick text.
Dr. Robinson, I might have missed it, but can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
Parvati has my my bio. Absolutely.
Shall I?
Yes, please.
Okay, sorry, I meant to do it in the beginning, but things were so fluttery in the beginning. I skipped the step, but I'm happy to introduce her now. Dr. Robinson specializes in talent development with over 20 years of experience helping individuals realize their dreams. Using simple techniques, she teaches clients how to tap into their potential to achieve personal goals. She also teaches generations how to enhance their communication skills with other generations to help build and maintain healthy relationships. Her strengths lie in generational studies, business planning, HRM research, and employee development. And even her email is generationalgenius@gmail.com. So as a human resources professional, Dr. Robinson has developed and facilitated diversity training for leadership and has led large recruiting efforts. As an instructor for Union County College Human Resources Certificate Program, Dr. Robinson has used modern techniques to teach students the importance of great leadership. As a behavioral support specialist and through partnerships within the social services system, Dr. Robinson has assisted foster families with personal and family development through the use of tools such as MBTI, goal setting, and vision boarding. Some of her cases have led to either KLG status or adoption. In 2017, she led a successful vision boarding session for youth advocate programs. And in 2019, she led a vision board session for the NJ Reentry Corporation. Oh, that's connected to Annette. And in 2020, she led a teen vision board workshop for Yes to Life. She served as a founding member of the regional VOTEC charter school. She participated in diversity discussions as a panelist on the Montel Williams Show. She has produced television shows for Cablevision's Community Television and Piscataway Community Television. She wrote and recorded a commercial for Amy Ruth's Restaurant, which aired on various radio stations in New York. And she worked as a jazz DJ for WNMS Radio in Newark. She's also a former recording artist and a published songwriter. And if I forgot anything, please jump in.
That's everything. Oh, yes, yes. So.
And I met Dr. Robinson through Ingrid. Is Whitney there?
Thank you, Parvati. Thank you. Okay, so is Whitney there?
I just texted her. Okay, she's gonna unmute.
Okay, great. Hi, Whitney, welcome back.
Hi, I'm so sorry.
That's okay. You're on mute.
Muted again.
Hello?
Hello.
Oh,
Hi.
I'm so sorry. You know how women are, we multitask. And I had an event today where I had to facilitate a workshop. So, but I'm here.
Okay, great. I just wanted to ask you, trying to give Parvati a full-bodied presentation. So I just like to ask you a few questions if I could.
Sure.
So can you describe some of the obstacles you have faced as a Black woman trying to empower other Black women?
Some of the obstacles. Let's start with myself. At one point, I was an obstacle. And the reason why I said that is because thinking about the things that I have encountered, knowing that I had a story to tell, knowing that I had something to give, something to offer to help women, empower women, I used to think I wasn't good enough to tell that story. I used to think that no one really wanted to hear my story. So I would say I was my own obstacle because I knew my story was powerful and the gifts that God has given me to be able to help someone else. So that was my first obstacle, is me getting in my own way, until I had to do the work within myself and do the work and to know that I am enough and I do belong here. The second obstacle I would say would be, I used to be in corporate America, worked at Verizon, used to be a branch manager at Wells Fargo and Chase. And climbing the corporate ladder, I was faced with, other people thinking I couldn't do the job because I actually was promoted probably almost once a year, every 2 years in different positions at Verizon, and then actually going from Verizon, not having any banking experience whatsoever, to being a branch manager at Chase. When I got at Chase, people are looking at me like, you don't have any financial experience. What are you doing here? So I do have an MBA at the same time, as I'd never been a banker. However, it was a sales position because if anyone knows, as a branch manager position, you're creating relationships. You want people to move their money over. You want new people to come in to the space. So I had challenges as far as people, and I can say men, I could say other people in general, that didn't think I was fit to do the job because of my background. But I proved them wrong, and I made sure I did what I had to do. If it was working long hours, if it was tapping into my network, that I was going to fulfill that role that I was put in. So, different genders and different, even, having an obstacle with being a black woman, I had to face in corporate America. So that's some of the challenges that I experienced. And then even going into as a teacher, I jumped into teaching from banking at a charter school. Then I teach ELA. And coming in, as if you know, the charter school system is that you do not have to be certified. You can be certified as you're teaching. So that's another challenge that I had, an obstacle that I had to encounter with being in a space where you had teachers who were fully certified, had their master's in education. I had I had a master's at MBA and a divinity master's in theology, but not in education, which also had heads turn at one point, like, what are you doing here? You don't belong here. But, so those are several obstacles that I had to face. But once I came into my own, like even just during the corporate sector, even during the educational field, when you're always doing the work constantly on yourself, you're able to not allow yourself to become your obstacle anymore. And then in that sense, then you empower other people to pivot and do what they have to do. So those are the obstacles I have faced in my life. And
thank you so much for that answer. My final question to you is, how has this photo book journey influenced your life?
How has it influenced my life? Well, being able to be in the company of these great women, I'm like, do I even belong on this book? In this book? I said, oh yeah, I do belong here. But at the same time, it influenced me to want to be better. It influenced me to want to keep empowering other women. Like I said, especially having to being able to be amongst these powerful women in this book. And then, Janie Pilgrim, I don't know if she's on here still, but she referred me. And I said, when someone else sees the work that you do, it makes you say, you know what? Oh, wow, somebody does see me. They hear me. They see what you're doing. So it influenced me to keep on working, to keep sharing my voice, to keep sharing my talents and not playing small, and to keep on going. And I want to thank you, Kumar, again for allowing me to be a part of this.
Thank you. Thank you. Everyone's words have just been so beautiful. It's like, I was blown away the first time when I met everyone. I'm like blown away again. So no, thank you to all the women.
Okay, Kumar, Parvati, I'm calling you Kumar as well. I'm going to turn it back over to you, Whitney. Thank you so much for your answers. Thank you to all of the women for cooperating with my inquisitive mind. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Parvati.
Thank you. I'm open to any other final questions. If anyone has any lingering questions in their minds to ask me or any of the women or each other. I know it's been a long 2 hour, 45 minutes. Mala?
Parvati, you are an amazing author, and I'm really, really proud of you. You've written such a beautiful book, and you've highlighted all these talented women in our community. But you have to get on to the next project now. You have to write a book about the Native Americans, another book.
Yeah, no, I've considered that as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
At least the New Jersey the Native American community, which is, I think, the Lenni Lenape group. Should delve into that, because we have learned so much about the young women of the Black community, young and old, and everybody, all age groups rather. I wouldn't say young, but all of us are young at heart.
Yeah.
So the next project should be that, but this has been such an eye-opener for me. Fantastic. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you for attending.
Yes.
Is there any other comments, questions?
Let
Just
me.
wanted to, sorry.
Yeah.
Hello.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Alexandra, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I just want to say thank you again for having this great project. I was wondering, what was your most challenging part about putting this together?
I think the logistics of meeting, that was probably the most challenging. I think researching and finding women to include was not hard, but it was that was not the hardest part. It was more, okay, now I've found so-and-so, and there were a few women that agreed to be in the project, but it just didn't logistically work out to meet. So I'm hoping maybe down the road, some other time, I could include them. And then I think the writing was challenging too. Not that I can't write or I've never written, but it was just because I've worked mainly in photography for so long, and I don't think that's an excuse for photographers to not sit down and pen their thoughts clearly and really concretize the thoughts and reasons behind everything I did in this project. But it was a good exercise, and I've always loved writing, so it was a challenge that I welcomed. So, and
I just want to introduce myself. I'm mother of Parvati. My name is Pramila. I'm calling from Montreal. I'm in the Zoom. And April, you have been a wonderful, wonderful moderator, and nice meeting all the 25 women who were on the project. And I'm indeed proud of Parvati for her great work. And I know even to this day, when I do some writing, I just send it to her for her critical thinking and some editing. So all the best in your future projects, Parvati.
Thank you.
And Mala, nice meeting you. Mala, you're from which state?
I'm from New Jersey. Yeah, I live very close to Parvati's place.
Okay.
And it's a pleasure to meet you. Yeah. I've heard so many good things about you. You are her guru. You are her teacher of photography.
It's a very small way, and that's it. Mine was old conventional photography. Now this.
Wow. Well,
and who's your teacher? High school teacher, Parvati?
I think she dropped off.
Oh.
Yeah, she was on, but yeah. But yeah, she helped me with much of the writing, like just editing. And yeah, and my mother is the reason I'm doing photography at all. So.
Hello, Parvati. It is Chitra from Toronto. I was listening to your photojournalism capability. I think you have worked very hard to achieve it. I'm very proud of you.
Thank you, Auntie, for joining.
Yes, I thought I will listen to it very carefully, and it is a very hard and determined work that you have done.
It was, it was a lot of work, but I think I've told all the women that I met for this project, I enjoyed every moment.
I'm sure. Moment. I mean, without that inside enjoyment, you tend to walk back from it, but you have done a great job, and you are really truly interested in listening to stories of them and making a book. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Very
I wanted their voices, their expressions seen and heard. And I wanted to share that with the rest of the
very good.
World.
Is the book published and ready for, is it being sold or?
Yes, I'll put my website in the chat, but yes, it's been self-published. I self-published it, and it's available on my website.
Okay, I will mention to some of my friends who might be interested in that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot. Thank you. Okay, bye-bye now. Bye.
I just want to say a special thank you to Parvati's mom. Thank you for birthing her. so that we have this treasure of a person and this historical document, right? To document the wonderful talents of these Black women. So thank you so much for supporting her and being there for her.
Yeah. I mean, I have attended 3 or 4 sessions, but I think this one we met all of them, and they put in their thoughts, and it was just beautiful. Very well presented. Yeah.
Bye, Pramila. Bye. See you. Okay. Bye.
Any other questions, comments?
Parvati, I just wanted to say, you had asked, by the way, I'm the curator of the gallery where 3 of Parvati's photos were displayed in the Black History Month exhibit that we had in February. So, I have a special love in my heart for you know, for these photographs and for the book. And I know we had talked a little bit about, you know, where to go next with the book. And I just wanted to say, if people on the call have some ideas about that, that would be also really helpful, you know, in terms of how to distribute it outside of sales, you know, or outside of individual sales, because surely there would be people who would, you know, churches who would be interested in having books that they could distribute. You know, these are marvelous stories and they're such an inspiration. So I just wanted to put it out there. You know, I'm only one mind, but there are so many minds here, you know, so maybe there are people who have ideas about that.
Thank you. Yeah, I've been talking with April, and she's been suggesting many other avenues to share the work, libraries and other women's groups and various other groups that might be interested. So I'm working on it, but I'm open to ideas from one and all. So please email me anytime or call me anytime with suggestions.
And Parvati, I think we have someone from the Piscataway Library on the line. So, you know, you are getting heard, being seen and heard.
Thank you. Yeah, Joy is here. I didn't.
Yes, I believe Joy is here. She's the Adult Services Librarian at Piscataway Library.
And April's sister.
Full disclosure.
Oh, there, yeah, there I see Piscataway Library right there.
Yes, I'm looking forward to exploring ways of getting your book exposed to the Piscataway community. And I didn't realize it, but Jenny Pilgrim actually is a connection for us. She before the pandemic, Jenny would sometimes meet her clients at our Westergaard branch. So that was it was lovely to be surprised to see her. I'm trying to think of the proper word, but celebrated in your work. Yes.
Yeah, it's a small world. It's amazing how many of the women knew each other, and others in the community knew them. So yeah, I'm looking forward to talking to you soon, or talking more with you soon about ways to share the book.
I just want to remind everyone about the raffle. You have until March 31st to enter the raffle. So please, and Parvati, I'm sorry, did you make another disclaimer about the raffle earlier?
Yeah, so actually sorry for the confusion, there's two separate giveaways happening. So one is just for today, just as like a thank you to all those who attended today. I was going to raffle off 2 copies of the book, and then there's a separate that ends like by the end of the day. So I'm going to post the link again in the chat for the raffle for today, and then there's a separate one going on my social media, on my Instagram and Facebook. That's going to run till the end of the month. So and all the info for that is on my website on the main page, parvatikumar.com. So yeah.
And also, so until Monday, the book is 25% off. So please, if you have not purchased the book, please support Parvati. And also, what did I want to say? Please pass the link on to others so that they can support her as well. Okay, 25% off, yay.
Yeah, I used blurb.com for the printing. So they're in honor of Women's History Month, like all the books that they feature in their bookstore are 25% off. So. And any other comments, questions?
Nothing other than you both deserve Parvati and Dr. Robinson a great round of applause. It was wonderful, really, really wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you to everyone who came today, all my collaborators. I call them my collaborators because they really were. And I think, all the people who have come today who have viewed the work, listened in a way are also collaborating because we're together trying to share this positive energy and positive message out into the world. So I thank everyone for their help, for their support, and for attending. And if no further questions, comments, I'm going to stay on if anyone wants to stay on. I wish everyone a great rest of the weekend, and please stay in touch, and I hope to see everyone soon.
I want to